Hi, my name is Dr. Nikita Vizniak, and this is
Ari Head.
And you are, madam?
Olivia Head.
And who is this little lady?
Natalie.
So we have our daughters with us here today. It's kind of an interesting interview we get to do. So, Olivia, can you tell me why you like your dad so much?
No. I love him because he's my dad, and whenever I'm hurt, he always helps me. And when I heard that he was in the accident, I cried so much for like almost a week.
Yeah, he was in an accident, yeah. All right. What about you, Natalie? Why do you like your dad so much, I wonder?
Because he's funny, takes me golfing, gets me ice cream.
Oh, because the things that get you.
Yeah.
Okay, does your dad ever help you too, like Olivia's dad, or not really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I just wanted to have our daughters here as just a way to lighten the mood a little bit and just to see more of the human contact portion of this story right here. So I'll thank these lovely ladies so much for being with us right here. We'll let you guys go and play, and me and your dad are going to have a little bit of an interview here and talk about himself for a bit.
It's a good thing I'm not funny and make you laugh like him. Yeah, okay.
There you go. All right. Yeah, there you go. All right, so first of all, Ari, I want to thank you so much for being here for us to do this. It's excellent. So just a little background. I think, how long have we known each other for? I think I've known you for at least
2 years, yeah.
At least,
yeah.
yeah. I can remember in the summertime you actually showing me a picture of this new Harley Davidson that you got, and you were all excited about it. I'm like, oh man, that was a sweet bike and everything. But before we get into that, what do you do for a living?
I drive a pickup truck and a flat top trailer, basically back and forth to Chilliwack and around the Lower Mainland, crisscross.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're doing deliveries back.
Yeah, pickup and delivery steel mostly.
Yeah. So back to this bike then that you got. Well, we can see you have an obvious sling here.
Yeah.
Maybe give us a little backstory. What happened? You got this bike?
Well, 50 years of riding motorcycles, and I got clipped by another motorcycle.
Oh wow!
On the highway. When my bike left the highway, the front wheel hit sand, and the wheels just turned, and the bike went end over end several times.
Yeah.
And then I caught a telephone pole with my ear.
Ouch.
So that broke my neck, my back, my arm was crushed, moved from one side of me around to the other side. Yeah, I broke quite a few bones.
Yeah. Now, just because some doctors and students will be watching this as well, just to make sure they understand it, let's talk about the kind of forces that were involved with this injury. How fast were you going? How big is your bike?
I left the highway at about 100 kilometers an hour. The bike weighs 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
With the momentum of going end over end, you're picking up speed as you go end over end because of the weight.
And the centrifugal,
the centrifugal force
spins you around more too. Yeah.
So I have no idea. I'm not good with stats on that.
Yeah, but still, it was
a significant force. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you remember after the accident?
I was lying in a ditch with water running through it, a creek. And there were people attending to me. I was very fortunate. I was dead. The fourth or fifth car that stopped, the guy got out, went around to the back of his car apparently, and pulled out a medical bag. He was a surgeon from Prince Rupert. And, he resuscitated me and stayed with me until, right to the helicopter. He drove in the ambulance with me up to the helicopter. So if he ever watches this, I thank him sincerely. The police won't give me his name.
Yeah. Well, that's a great chance for you to give a thank you back, right?
Yeah. He resuscitated me several times. My lungs were full of blood. I lost the use of my left lung. So it was touch and go. My family was called to RCH after being there for a few days and told to make arrangements, basically.
Yeah. And you can even see, I just want to make comment on this for our junior docs and therapists. Yeah, totally. Yeah, go ahead. All right, she's back here. Olivia's back, she's just grabbing some shoes, so we'll just give her a second here. She's got her sneaky walk.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. She learned that from cartoons.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Yeah, so definitely, part of this process and getting permission from both Ari and Olivia's mother was to make sure that we're sensitive around the issue of the injury, as it's been fairly traumatic for her as his daughter, and just making sure not to talk too much about it in front of her, and that it's their choice whether or not she gets to see this video. So just be aware that sensitivity is happening with this as well. One thing I just want to point out, it might not be fully visible on the camera, even your recounting of this, when did this happen, first of all? We should have said that.
It was Easter Sunday, April 16th, 2017.
Yeah, so we're almost a year ago, basically, is when it was,
9 months ago,
yeah. Is even you're talking about it and you can see the emotion coming in your eyes and everything too.
I have glossy eyes from the pregabalin.
All right.
One of the side effects.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so back to it. So we're looking at an injury. You've got a surgeon that's come to attend to you.
Mm-hmm.
Family is basically told, you know what, make your last preparations for your time with this man on earth here. And it was interesting that you said that you were actually dead. What do you mean by that?
They resuscitated me 3 times before the hospital, and once in Chilliwack Hospital, and once I had a heart attack in RCH as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's odd, I recall the entire incident with the nurses not attending to me and me going, hurry up, like watching me lying in the bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, when the nurse finally did come into the room, it's like, oh, it's about time, like, you gotta check, you gotta check.
Yeah.
And she was busy doing house cleaning, and of course, it's still in my mind going, no, like, check me. And when she finally checked me, she realized I didn't have a pulse and that I wasn't breathing. And she was screaming code blue, and nobody was coming.
Oh, man.
And so she finally just jumped up on the bed and wound up with both her hands and swung and hit me in the chest, and I still hear the ribs cracking again. So, and then, my eyes opened up again, right?
But let's even just talk about that for a second, because that's an amazing experience, because effectively you could not communicate.
No, and I've had that experience several times. I've been in quite a few accidents in my life, right? Motorcycles, dirt bikes, right? But it was the first accident on a street bike. But skiing, all kinds of bizarre, crazy incidences. I had a car fall on me once. Where I was completely out of body watching from above as people were working on me. So I had the same experience in the ditch after the accident, right?
Yeah. Okay, so you're at the hospital now. What is the extent of your injuries? Right after when you were in the hospital, you were mentioning how many bones you broke.
I was induced into a coma for about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Basically, psychedelic drugs, great hallucinations.
Mm-hmm.
I started in the Beatles movie in 1961. Here on the flat actually.
Nice.
Where I grew up. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. It's like, what actually happened? I think you told me you broke 42 or 32.
I broke over 39 bones, is what one nurse told me. When I asked Dr. Rebai, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name, but when I asked Dr. Rebai, who was the attending main surgeon who supervised the 15 surgeons, I asked him in his office in August, I said, hey, one of the nurses told me I broke over 39 bones, or 39 bones with several fractures. Is that true? He said, you can make up any number you like. He said, you had so many fractured bones, we didn't care. There was lots of other things that we were working on.
Yeah, exactly. They're secondary.
So, they x-rayed me head to toe so far as I recall.
So, we've got this substantial injury. You're in the hospital. I haven't seen you for I don't even know how long it's been. It must have been 8 months or something. 7 or 8 months, I feel like. And then I see you, and you're here with this sling. And I'm like, Ari, what's going on, man?
Homemade.
Yeah, okay. Look at this. This is we were talking about hot rods and how we both grew up around cars and everything like this. So this is a homemade hot rod cast. It looks like
the same color as the bike.
Nice. All right. So I saw you with this, and the interesting thing was, I thought it was just a sling. Like he's hurt his arm or something like that, or broken a radius or ulnar, or maybe the humerus or something like this. But it blew me away what you said right off the bat.
Yeah, it was a brachial plexus injury,
mm-hmm.
As well as the arm, but. The nerves that operate the left lung and, of course, control the arm in 5 different places were avulsed right out of the spinal cord in my neck.
Okay, so let's make sure that we understand that injury, because he's an educated patient. He knows all about it. Avulsed spinal nerves from the brachial plexus. Literally, they were pulled out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was probably on the impact or the twist around the pole or whatever, but they were torn out so badly that when they cut me open and looked, they just cauterized the ends of them and closed me back up, basically. Yeah. So,
Right around.
So what I do with this is get it hooked up, and then I give it a cinch like that to hold the shoulder in place.
Yep.
And as I've been doing that more and more lately, and I've noticed that the drop muscle here is getting more action, more use.
Yeah.
It's contributing more to holding the shoulder in place.
Okay, so that's an excellent thing. So when we're watching Ari do this right here, one of the things you can see is he's automatically trying to find a better balance between both of his shoulders, right? Because with this brachial plexus injury, what does this arm want to do?
It just drops.
Yeah,
it just drops right up.
The whole thing just drops down. Now, you don't have to take it off just yet, but now the surgery that was done, when you said they basically sliced open, looked in, saw that everything was separated, cauterized the nerve endings.
Yeah.
What else were they doing? Because they were looking at collapsed lung, heart trauma, I'm sure as well.
Yeah, they told me there was nothing they could do for any of it. So my left lung operates at about 5 to 10%, they said.
Yeah.
When I lay down, it flattens out.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I go into a hacking mode. So sometimes not. But, or when I get up quick, then I go into a coughing mode.
Yeah. So now this lung capacity thing is a little bit interesting as well. How would you say your physical stamina is right now?
It's very low.
Yeah.
I mean, I was very active before. I hiked, I skied,
we were fit
motorcycles,
guy.
Yeah. The toning, 56. The six pack was gone anyhow. It's going to be a lot harder to get back. That's pretty sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be a keg soon if I
don't
watch it.
Yeah. Well, men kind of goof around with it, but men like to look good too. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So what I'd like to do now is just as a mini focus here, I just want to focus more on this arm, because the thing that struck me was you said that the follow-up for this, and this is what blew my mind, is going to be
amputation
of this arm. So I don't see any gangrene or anything like that on it, so why is there amputation?
No, I've got a burn here that's taken a long time to heal. Amputation is just to kind of a choice. Like, what do we do with that? I don't want to drag it around the rest of my life. If there is some everybody says don't get it amputated, there'll be a breakthrough surgery, changes all the time. Well, a breakthrough surgery is not going to be given to a 55 to 60-year-old guy who's kind of out of shape. They're going to give it to a 20-year-old athlete.
Yeah.
And I don't fool myself about that.
That is interesting, because we always talk about medical legal ethics, and that's a great argument that we always give our students to kind of work through, is how do you decide what's going to be given when, and that's the fact that you have more of a realistic viewpoint on it is, it shows a lot for the healing process too.
So my choice would be amputation. With a prosthetic, I have use of my left side again.
Yeah.
As it is, I have no use of my left side. It impacts my whole upper body. Mm-hmm. It is painful as it drops out. My shoulder drops out.
So your shoulder drops out, as in it dislocates?
Yeah, it'll drop right out, like popping in all the time.
All right, for those of my students who are watching this, you've all heard me say this. What % of your shoulder stability comes from the rotator cuff? I'll give you a second to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. 50% of the shoulder stability comes from the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. He's got a full brachial plexus injury, no innervation. What happens? Shoulder drops out. Okay, I just want to make sure we get that one.
It was like that before I left the hospital.
Yeah.
So it's really inconvenient or a pain in my arm. I prefer just to get rid of it and not have it at all, or have a prosthetic. With a prosthetic, you get to choose if and when you use it.
Yeah.
And I always tease my daughter that I'll be able to pull a clutch again with a hook. So she's not going to allow me to ride motorcycles anymore.
All right. It's tough. It's tough for dads. You pretty much have to listen to your daughters. Maybe I shouldn't have said that for any daughters who are watching this.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead then, if we can. We'll pop this off, and I just want to actually check your reflexes right here.
Sure.
Yeah.
I know my leg jumps about 10 feet.
Yeah.
Because I had my brain bled as well for 3 days. So my left leg, when she tapped it, went flying off, and she goes, "That's a brain damage." I'm brain damaged. I didn't know I had brain damage.
It's mild, but there's a couple of things just for the students and doctors who are watching this. There's a difference between upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron lesions as we check deep tendon reflexes. As we go through, a brachial plexus injury is going to be a lower motor neuron lesion. So maybe what I'll do, Ari, if it's okay with you, I'll actually start on the unaffected side first.
Yeah, sure.
Just have a look. Yeah, we can see that pretty good. Okay, so I'm just going to check your biceps. I just need your shoulder to be nice and relaxed for me. There you go. You can drop out a bit, and nice. And so I can feel it. In fact, you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
But I want maybe you'll even be able to see it. What are you talking about, man? No six pack. Look at the size of these things.
They're soft though. Yeah.
Yeah, and there you can see a good brisk reflex of the biceps, so that's going to be checking C5. Brachioradialis, I'll do it out front here so we can see it on the camera. So again, just nice relaxed shoulder for me. Trying to get this guy to relax. He's so solid through here. It's just like, yeah. All right, so give him a little tap, and there you can see good brisk reflex there. And then just really quick, as long as your arm's okay, for triceps. Perfect. So those would all be 2+ reflexes on this side. And we could check the lower extremity, but that'll be fun. If we come over here, I'm curious to see what we're going to get. So, did you have any issue moving your arm around, or I can just hold it? So first observation to make here would be go ahead and look at the size difference on the arms, right? Now you're probably right-handed.
Yeah, but I mean my hand, it's like half the size. Yeah.
Okay, hand is like half the size, even the coloration on the skin. You mentioned a burn earlier that's taking longer to heal.
Yeah, that's the burn.
Yeah.
I think I got it from a bowl of soup.
Yeah.
From putting my arm around a bowl of soup.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right?
And I had no idea.
And that's the whole risk with these, is you really have no idea what's, like that's the thing. If you keep this arm, it's going to be constantly damaged, you're not going to know, and then that can lead to injuries that do cause more systemic problems. Yeah. All right, so we'll check the other reflexes here really quick. Just move in. So if we roll up the arm, you can see just how everything. This is what is flaccid
drops. Yeah.
This is what flaccid paralysis looks like. This would be a 0 out of 5 on muscle testing. Like there's just nothing he can give back to that. Can you even feel?
No, and it's really different because when I move the hand around, the sensitivity I feel through my fingertips as I move it. When somebody else moves it, there's no sensation.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Even if your eyes were closed or you looked the other way, you would have no concept that this was moving, other than maybe it's bouncing off your body.
I have some feeling in the upper arm, in the tricep area, so when the hand is put around it, I can feel that.
Okay.
But it's not much. There's like a little bit of sensitivity here. It wraps around the tricep, so I've always had that sense that much, but. Very, very little, and you just holding the arm like this, somebody else holding it, I feel the nerves firing to my fingertips non-stop, right?
Yeah. So what do you actually feel?
It's just like I equate it to a coil firing through a high tension lead to a spark plug.
Some of our audience might have a tough time with that, but he's describing like an electrical type zzz going through it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to check your biceps reflex here first. So the same basic mechanism that we used before. I'm just going to traction down a little bit here, and then give a strike, and there's no response. We go down here, the same thing for brachioradialis for our C5, C6 check, and there's a little reflex right there. Now, typically when I've done this, if I do this on stroke patients, what happens, and it would have been like this right after the injury probably, is he would be hyperreflexic. But now we can see that this injury is where you would have actually had huge reflex following it. And then right now you can see that because this has been such a long-standing condition with the atrophy that has occurred, that he's now hyporeflexic because of that. And I'll just do triceps here again really quick. Yeah, and you can just see no responses there at all, and that's pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I just wanted our audience to see that for the docs who are looking at it. So again, hyperreflexic at the start, possibly. At the very initial initiation of the injury, probably for the first 6 weeks or so, but then eventually as the injury becomes more and more substantial and there's more and more atrophy of tissue, we can see that it goes the opposite way.
I also have numbness right up the side of my face that I've had since the accident too.
Yeah. Well, do you mind if we show one other thing? Can we show just even your ear where it got clipped right there too, right? Yeah. So if we have a look, you can see you got clipped, the lower part of the ear. You can still hear, but I'm sure the hearing is actually less now.
Yeah. I told the surgeon who looked at it, she's going to use this part of my hand to make an earlobe with.
Nice.
And then she asked me what I did for a living, so I told her I was an ear model.
Did she at least laugh?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's good. She told me it was very difficult to get a surgeon to laugh. I get it.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So. And that's one of the big affects I want to talk about for you, Artie, especially around this. The best part of your healing is your sense of humor and keeping yourself up, right?
They sent psychologist after psychologist to me in the hospital bed because they didn't believe the comfort that I had with the injury. Yeah. It was like, well, I rode motorcycles all my life. My mother was right. Yeah. So from day one, it's like, well, if I have to get the arm amputated, I'm losing an arm, a big deal. Right?
Yeah. I want to come back to this because this is a key thing for your healing right here. But let's see a look at the shoulder here really quick.
Yeah, go ahead and just build it up.
Yeah. So we just come off like this. Yeah. So like right away, what can you see? You can see the acromion off at the top of the scapula right here. Huge drop down. And then again, look at all of this tissue. All this tissue is just sitting down. We can even see like a sulcus sign here, a little bit of a sulcus sign there. And where would you say, like, I just want to do a quick sensation check. Can you feel this?
No.
No? And I'm just going to keep on brushing back.
There I can feel it.
So there you can feel it.
Yeah. And that leaves a little firing sensation that stops right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of in the C4, C5 dermatomal area right here, but then once we get below C5, there's nothing down there. And he's looking off into the distance. Like typically with a patient, I'd have them close their eyes, but still even here we can see. So he has dermatomal loss. We can also see myotomal loss. Again, this is fairly obvious from the injury, but I just want to show you guys the correlation between motor and sensory nerve loss and the actual changes you see over top of the tissue. So that's great right there. Just wanted to see that. Don't want to get the ladies too excited with this burly.
Yeah, well that pectoral is getting to be more of a breast.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to have to figure out how to exercise that.
Yeah. All right, we'll make you look all pretty. What do you want? How much chest hair?
I'll just, there's not much there anyways.
All right, something like that. So even this, the one nice thing about the injury for you is you were right-handed, right, before the injury?
Yes, I was fortunate that I was right-handed.
Yeah.
Improvising stuff from being outdoors all the time.
Yeah.
I use my teeth a lot as a tool anyhow.
Yeah.
So it's not that I use them any extra now, but they come in handy every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate that I have very good dexterity in my fingers. I played guitar for years. I obviously no longer do that, so my guitar collection is moot. But hopefully my daughter will want to learn to play one.
I want to talk more about, you had to have so many psychologists come in and couldn't believe your comfort with the injury.
Apparently I was supposed to be distraught and uncomfortable and confused, and I've never been any of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of uncomfortable, I just want to get you back in. I just want to make sure you're comfortable here. Just sitting, put you back in the brace there. So that's an interesting thing, though. The discomfort, or what you're supposed to expect it to be, and how you actually are, right?
Yeah.
I feel like for a lot of patients, what happens is there's a social expectation of this is what you should be going through.
Yeah.
But you didn't follow that.
I didn't follow that. You're as handicapped as you want to be. I mean, there's Rick Hansen, who's traveled the world in a wheelchair. There's what's his name in the States? There, the smartest man in the world. Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
There was Terry Fox, who ran across Canada on one leg. Losing an arm, I feel, is much better than losing a leg. Especially if it's your left arm and you're right-handed. But there's worse things in life, and I've been through some of them.
So, all right, let's go ahead and say that again. So you're only as handicapped as you want to be.
Yeah, through life, you're handed challenges of all kinds, whether they're from internal sources or external sources. Whether or not you accept them or don't accept them, that's up to you. So if you don't accept them, they become more intense challenges, and therefore you complicate your life instead of simplify it.
Yeah.
So I try to simplify my life since I was young, and all the challenges that have been thrown at me I accept and do my best with them, and sure, it gives you limitations depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But it's always what it is. You have to keep moving forward, onward and upward, I believe is the term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what are some real challenges you think going forward, though?
Dealing with biases from other people is one.
Yeah.
I've experienced a bit of it.
Well, give me an example, though. Like, give us an example so we can understand.
I went to pick up a load of work, and the shipper was adamant that he shipped stuff like this on a flat deck all the time, and that I was an idiot. I asserted that he's an idiot.
Like I love
I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do
that. Yes.
Called my dispatcher, asked him not to send me back there again, explained to him why. And then I said, "What do you usually send there?" He says, "Well, box fans." I said, "Well, next time send a box fan, because it ain't going on a flat deck the way they prepare it." Right?
Yeah.
So then when I got to I broke the stuff down and put it inside my truck. When I got to the receiver, I asked him, I said, "How does this stuff usually come?" He says, "Oh, it always comes on a box fan."
Yeah.
And I said, "Yeah, well, thanks."
Thanks for that one.
Yeah. So the guy was just adamant that I shouldn't be doing the job I was doing because I only had one arm.
Yeah.
And I don't have the time of day for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best attitude to have around it.
And then most of, like when I first came back, all the regular customers that were so glad to see me back were calling into the office and praising, my ability to come back and do what I'm doing. And I modified my trailer so that it worked better for me and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And when I walked into the office the first time after returning to work, all the girls stood up and applauded me.
Excellent.
So, I was kind of flushed, for sure. And I was like, what the hell is this, right?
Yeah.
And it was because so many customers had called in to compliment and ascertain their support behind me for coming back to work.
And that's huge right there, right? So number one, you've got the social support of actually doing something where you still feel like you can contribute.
Oh, yeah.
And number two, you've got all of your regular, even though it's a job, it's still a social interaction with these people, right?
Yeah.
So you still have
very good relationships with them all. So
so you have that point of contact. Those are major parts for healing. What happens for a lot of people, what do they wind up doing? Isolation, depression, and it just spirals down from that point right there.
Yeah. And then that's what you purvey to other people too. When you fall into depression, I can spot a depressed person a mile away.
100%. Right? Tell me how you see it?
Somebody who doesn't look up,
Yep.
doesn't make eye contact, someone who is not interested in being out.
Yep.
Somebody who watches too much TV, for example. I think it was Ralph Nader that said television is a vast wasteland in about 1962. So there was a man who had the foresight to understand just what television is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, that's excellent. I mean, and I feel like that's a big part of your healing process. It's just the actual social support. And what I wanted to do as part of this interview was basically have interviews to educate, some future doctors and therapists out there to understand it and what people might be going through. But also, you have a GoFundMe page started by a friend of yours as well.
Yeah, my friend Dave had started a GoFundMe page. It had some momentum at the beginning. Of course, it died shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook or social media, so
that's the vast wasteland of this generation.
It's just it's just a different vast wasteland, right?
Yeah.
And I have a Facebook page that I started so that my daughter could talk to people, but I try to, she's restricted to half an hour of media time a day.
Nice.
She breaks it whenever
Just,
she can.
You guys know exactly what I'm trying to push it. Just so we're clear, one of the best things we do with our kids is we give them TV chips. They get 2.5 hours a week of however they want to spend it on whatever they want, YouTube, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. So they can cash them in, but they can binge all the way through them, or they can slowly dole them out. Either way, it works, right?
Yeah.
So, parenting tip right there: TV chips.
Yeah.
Screen chips.
Barter trading chips.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So they get little half-hour blocks, and they just keep on cashing them in.
Can they buy and sell them amongst each other?
Oh man, I don't know. There you go. We should do that. That's smart. Yeah. Back to the GoFundMe thing, though. What I'm going to do is we'll put a link down here. So if you want to help support Ari, that would be up to your choice to do. But it would be very supportive to do that for him. Is there anything that you need, or you feel like that's just you're so self-sufficient? I don't want to put too much out there on this, but basically,
financially it hurts. I don't get dispatched what I used to get dispatched. Yeah. So I'm down to about 20 or 30% of what I used to get.
Okay, that much.
It's a struggle getting by, but I phone my creditors. I keep in touch with my creditors. It's like, hey, it's late.
Yeah.
Or not at all, right? Yeah. I have one insurance claim to file, which will help me somewhat with one of the bills, but it's going to get better. Yeah. It's up to me to make it better, so it's going to get better. I'll just push for more work, right? Again, even my dispatcher is fully supportive and behind me. Yeah. Is being easy on me or light on me, and it's hard to talk him into giving me more work, right? So. Yeah. And it helps, I don't have the physical ability to work as hard as I used to. Yeah. So.
Question on this: are we allowed to mention the name of your company? Because I'd like to give them a shout out too.
Number 8 Freight. They've been very supportive of me.
Yeah.
They're located in Chilliwack. I live in Burnaby. But they have several trucks on the road back and forth between the Lower Mainland and Chilliwack. And John Willis, the owner, has been very supportive of my dispatcher, Marcel.
Yeah.
Well, everybody there has been very supportive. So.
All right, so if you want a good way to help Ari, that would be another one. Call number 8 for 8 and say, hey, I want Ari to come out to my place. Right? Because it serves two purposes there too, right?
Yeah,
It's still, it would help you get more out there, but it
Yeah.
also gets you physically active, doing more stuff that you want to do too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right, Ari, is there anything else you want to add that I haven't asked you about that you think is important for people to be aware of?
Well, it can happen to you. I mean, it can happen to anyone. If it happens, don't let it fight you. Make you fight it. It's just an injury, and injuries happen. You get over them. But people in the medical profession, I've heard, usually take injuries the worst.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a real
It
or
is.
not.
It is absolutely,
true,
yeah. Because number one, they look at the injury, they understand the potential negative outcomes with it and stuff. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, the process is, I heal these things. I don't participate in them.
Yeah.
And it can happen to anybody. It can happen to your family. Be supportive of the injury itself, and be practical. Like in my case, I'm going to be 6 years old soon. I realize that if they come up with some new surgery, it's not for me, right? So be logical. I've always been a very logical thinker, and I think that's a big process in getting out of the hospital a month earlier than they wanted me to, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I really don't want to be here. I'm taking up an acute care bed, and
When you don't need to.
I'm not an acute care patient, right?
Yeah.
So.
And I think just the closing sentiment was exactly what Ari said there, just to finish off for anybody reading this. Of course, there's going to be limitations on this, but you are only as handicapped as you want to be.
That's right, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so here you guys can see the faces of part of the family. Don't know if Nora's working the camera right now, so she doesn't want to come in. But for us talking about this injury, I mean, what is it really about? It's really about this relationship right here that we have. Uh-oh, here she comes.
There she is, yeah.
All right, so we'll finish off with that one right there. Okay. We'll say thank you very much, Ari, for sharing. Olivia, you are super lucky to have such a great dad. He's a fantastic guy. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.